Hi everyone, I'm Durgesh Sood, part of Salesforce ecosystem for more than a decade now, working with Salesforce in mothership for almost 4.5 years. Started here as an SC, but before that I worked with a couple of partners and was also very active in Jaipur DUG, Node.js and in Bangalore as well a few times. But like I said, since last 2.5 years, I'm closely working with Raghu and many of you as a partner ecosystem to help them all enabled around platform. Okay, when I say platform, it includes things around experience, now Slack, and around things around Tableau, analytics, CRM analytics, whatever you want to call it. Okay. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Here are my details. Please feel free to share a shout out. Connect with me if you have any questions, queries around platform. I'm happy to help. Okay. Before going forward, just quick thing as a ritual of a Salesforce employee, I want to make sure that whatever I'm trying to share, it might be having few of the things which include the future roadmap things involved into my session, right? Which means there are some features which are right now in beta, which is going to be coming up soon, which I will reveal or talk about when we'll be having queries and discussion. But I'll explicitly call it out, but keep that in mind while you're doing implementation for your customers. Okay. Thank you for joining in person. I will try my best to make the next 40 minutes or something most valuable for all of you understanding about functions. Okay. So, but before that, let's do a quick activity, and you can keep this page open into your mobile because I will be keep on collecting some more inputs. We're gonna be having a great quiz contest at the end, and there are some very exciting good swags and gifts for the winners, for the first 5 winners in fact. So please pay attention. You can go to this link, that is bit.ly/fnpoll_sftgplr, or you can pull out your phones, you can scan this QR code, it should work. Let me start the poll at the same time. Yeah, you are able to respond. Anybody who is facing challenge in accessing this poll? No, right? Most of you are here. Let's see what type of audience we are seeing.
Just a moment, can you go back to the link?
Yeah. Yeah, here's the link. The link is bit.ly/fnpoll_sftgplr. And don't close this tab on your phone. Please keep it open. We'll use it for the further poll questions as well as the quiz as well towards the end. Okay. Let's see what are the responses we are seeing. So we have majority of audience as developer. We also have tech leads, few architects, and many of you which are playing a mixed role of admin and consultant. Alright, I will keep it open for a few more seconds. In fact, I have a few more questions lined up. There are 3. So the first one, most of you already voted. Let me bring the second one as well. Since when are you working on Salesforce? I mean, are you recently joined the ecosystem, just 6 months back? Or you are here since last 1.5 years, more than 3 years? In fact, more than 5 years as well. Again, I am seeing a very mixed distribution here. We have some experts, we have some beginners who have recently joined. I will tell you why I am collecting this info from you, and definitely we'll connect back this with our content of today. But yeah, just keep on voting. Alright, one last question. And that is this one. I know when Kishore asked that how many of you have worked on Salesforce function, nobody has raised their hand. But has anybody aware about Salesforce function? How confident are you about discussing it with anyone? You can feel free to say 0 as well, no issues. Has anybody heard about function? You can raise your hand. Okay, we have a few members here. Can anybody explain, maybe you, what is function? Yeah? Yes?
It's a thing extra which we can use out of Salesforce libraries. And out of Salesforce development, I use PHP.
Yeah, so what he shared is function is something, a platform where we can even leverage other languages than Apex, which is like, although you mentioned about PHP, although it is not supported, but yes, we'll discuss about that indeed. So, alright, let's jump into today's session itself. And sorry for this. Let me come back to the slides. So what we're going to do, we'll discuss about what is function. As many of you are not aware about it, there are only a few which has heard about it, but don't know much detail about it. We'll go and understand the basics of the function, what they are. We'll go discuss about the primary use cases, where exactly function can be used into your project implementations or with the customers with whom you are working. I'll try to give a small demo. We are doing a laptop pairing and then presenting from there via Zoom or so. So it might be running a bit of a lag or so, but we'll try to make it work. I will share some of the resources which will help you to learn further about function, and then we'll open for the Q&A. Okay? So let's start with where it fits in, what function is all about, and why it is important for you as a developer, as an architect, as a tech lead, even as a consultant as well. We all know Salesforce is a huge spectrum, available for all of us. It has started in 1999, but in this last 20 plus years, we have evolved the platform so much that there are many of the new capabilities which are available inside it. Okay, if you start from the very left side, there is app builder, which are very friendly for developers, for admins, even for consultants and everyone who don't even need to write a single line of code to develop and design an application and then publish for their customers. Okay. Then if you move forward, there are things like which are low code solutions, which includes the connectors, integration with flows, and even using products like Salesforce Data Mask and everything. Okay. But at the very right hand side, you see a combination of services available and designed specially for developer centric audience, so that they can customize the platform as the way they want. Okay? Many of you are already working on platforms like Apex, Lightning Web Components. Actually did a fantastic presentation about LMS, and many of you raised hand about working on LWC, so that is a part of it. But there are a few more things which are available as part of this platform, which comes under the bucket of elastic services. One of them is the Heroku platform. Anybody heard about Heroku platform? Right? Has anybody built any apps on Heroku platform? I can see a few hands being raised. Nice to see. And recently, 2 years back, we introduced about Salesforce Functions as well, which is a new elastic service capability which we are bringing in. And let's discuss about that in detail. See, why we are doing this? We are making the life of everyone a bit easier, so that you can tag along, just like me and Sakshi are doing. We are using one computer to do the administrative work, the other one is more for the development. Okay, the same like your team can also do. There is a set of audience which can closely work on the no-code and the low-code solution, but at the same time, you all as a developers can extend the platform capabilities by bringing this all new things like Apex, Salesforce Functions, and Heroku on the platform. But to understand where function fits in, let's go and try to understand all of this different as a service type of things. Okay, so many of you heard about infrastructure as a service, container as a service, platform as a service. That's where function as a service also sits in. And our Salesforce platform or Salesforce Cloud, we have like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. This is all called as software as a service. Okay, now we are in a cloud-based services model. Everything is subscription-based. We are using apps to get food as a service. We are using apps like for getting transportation as a service, and that's where the world is moving. But to understand it from the technology front, I will take a small example, and this is very common in the cloud analogy to understand pizza as a service with all of these respective services. Okay, so I will create an analogy. So when you see here that a long time back, when we are building everything at home, right? I know many of us don't cook pizza all the days at home, but then there are, whenever you cook a pizza completely at home, you're growing your own ingredients and everything, that is called as legacy system, which means everything was homegrown, you are having everything being installed into your own offices and then having those available as servers and then running your applications on the sources on those same servers are called as those legacy on-premise based applications. Then we move forward where we get infrastructure available as a service, which means I don't need to take care of all these bare metals or the servers. I can get them from cloud. There are various providers available, be it AWS, be it Google, be it Microsoft as well with their Azure infrastructure as a service. You can get that, and you can easily deploy your everything, including your operating system, your applications, your database services, and all of them there. That is more is an example of a communal kitchen. So you get the basic availabilities there. You just go there, you take your own food, you cook there itself. You have your food there with your friends and colleagues, and that's how infrastructure as a service looks like. If you move a bit more forward, that's where container as a service comes in, which is recently came up in last 5 years when Docker and Kubernetes were involved or introduced. Anybody know what is Docker? Has at least heard the name? No? So, would you like to explain what is Docker?
So how we have virtual machines, right? So Docker is used for making partitions, partition of the operating system so that they can be used across any platform or any operating system.
Okay. Anyone else? Any thoughts?
So Docker is actually for, you can say, if we are using any JS application, then we have to install some libraries, and that can be different on different platforms. So, but in Docker we can create an image, Docker image, and there we can install application, and that will work same in every environment, every OS.
Exactly. Fantastic. I guess we get one more mic in the audience. Just so yeah, very well explained. What he mentioned that just like you can create images of your virtual machine, Docker has came up with a containerization system so that you can push everything into it. You don't need to worry about dependencies and everything. And when you will be hosting the Docker in a cloud, it will work exactly in the same way like it was working on your local machine. I mean, that is the advantage which Docker brought. But further to that, we come up with things like platform as a service, where everything, including operating system and runtime, is also being managed completely by the cloud provider itself. Salesforce Lightning platform is a great example of it. Similarly, we have platforms like Heroku. We have similar platforms which are available from Azure, from Amazon as well, which works as a platform as a service. Then comes function as a service. So see, if you see the example, right? Platform as a service is more like a takeaway of a MACD place where you go, you just take the food from there, you invite your own friends at your home or at your own place, you have the conversation there, you bring your own, beverages with you, and that's how it works. But when we talk about function as a service, it's like going in a restaurant where you get everything available as a service, but you will be taking your own friends, you'll be taking your own, you'll be having your own conversations with your friends and everything. That's where a restaurant type of service comes in, which is like a function as a service, which means technically I will be getting everything, including the bare metal which you talked about, like infrastructure. We'll be getting the operating system, we'll be getting the scalability provided out of the box, and also the runtime and the operating system, all of that. Okay, so I just need to push my part of business logic or the business function which I want to run, and it will take about scaling and everything behind the scenes. And then finally comes things like software as a service, which is like Salesforce Cloud, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, whatever you're using. You don't need to install and access anything on your local machine. You just go to your browser, you put an HTTP URL, and you'll be able to access that software on demand, anywhere from any place, be it from mobile, tablet, laptop, or whatsoever. Okay, so that's where something like a software as a service comes in, and the analogy is very similar, like going to a party where your friends are already there. There's already a conversation which is going in, and you just get involved into that. Okay, so Let's have another quick poll just to understand how many of you have get the basics of this. Okay, so the same link will work. Let me know, like, yes. What is Sales Cloud? Is it a IaaS or a PaaS? What is Heroku? And as well as what is Lightning Platform? So this is more like a 2 true 1 lie type of question. So you need to provide the right answers and options there. Let's see. Most of you are correct with Sales Cloud. Most of you are not correct with Heroku. But I can see many of you already answered. So what is Sales Cloud? Sales Cloud is actually a software as a service available, like I explained, where you get everything on demand. Let's go back and see this here. Okay, so we already discussed about IaaS, PaaS, FaaS, SaaS. Let's see what are the examples which are seen here. So in IaaS we have, like I said, AWS, GCP, Azure available. In PaaS we have Lightning Platform, we have Netlify, we have Heroku. When we talk about backend as a service, this is very most common into many of your mobile apps, where something is available in backend which can provide you data and services both. Firebase is a great example of it. Functions fits under the function as a service platform. Okay, and lastly, software as a service, where our Google apps, our Office 360 apps, as well as our Salesforce apps fits in. Okay. So just to summarize, what is function at all? Well, it's a single purpose, on demand microservice which can run without worrying about any complex infrastructure. See, again, let's take back that example of restaurant, right? You don't need to worry about, what type of dough will be used to make the pizza, what the ingredients are gonna be, how will you arrange the tables and chairs to get your guest in there and everything. Everything will be available to you. You'll be just going and ordering something there and you'll get that available. Even if you're gonna order just one pizza or thousands of pizzas together, the restaurant will gonna take care of providing you the service. Which means function is the right place for running something which needs a very elastic scale. Okay? And again, like a microservice, because we don't need to worry about anything as an infrastructure side, and you're just gonna be pushing your code and it will run it at a high scale. Okay, we'll discuss about what is high scale, what is all, into the next slides. But as a developer, definitely I want to see the code that what I would be involved in. Right? So here it is. So like I said, right, with Salesforce function, we just need to focus on the business logic. This all will gonna be taken care by the Salesforce platform itself. Okay? Which means you see here in this block diagram of code or the code block, the only thing which you would be writing would be things under the business logic here. This all will gonna be given by the SDK as well as by the function platform itself. And and like I said, right, it will take care of the web stack, it will take care of the security part with Salesforce, that is doing the authentication, getting the data from Salesforce. It will take care about where the log should be sent in, how you can access that log further, and also things like security of web stack, debugging and monitoring the scale of your application and everything. Okay, and inside this, just like you deploy your classes, your LWC components, your Visual Force pages, the same can be done for functions as well. You can develop them using your Visual Studio Code, and you can deploy them using the SFTX toolbar itself. Okay. The best part, which create the differentiator between Salesforce function and some of the similar cloud provider, is you get out of the box context of your Salesforce data here. Which means you don't need to do the explicit authentication with Salesforce or need to make any explicit API calls to Salesforce. As soon as your function will be invoked, it will be able to access all the data in your org via platform integration user. I will discuss about that user later, but you in that context variable which is available there, you will be able to access Salesforce as well as some of the Heroku data services as well, which you have added as an add-on. Okay, which means I need to make any API calls to my Salesforce org to get the data and need to leverage my REST APIs or SOAP APIs anymore. My function will automatically get a variable from where I can access it. Even in my demo, I will show you an example, like how we can access all the accounts from an object from an org and can show that into a data set. We'll in fact create a new account as well. Okay. Best part is, like you shared, it is being developed and designed so that you can build your application using the modern language frameworks. Which means I can right now write my functions in Java as well as JavaScript and TypeScript both. And tomorrow in near future we'll also be bringing Python as well as available framework. Okay. Now what is the new paradigm which is opening up after allowing this? This means you can invite your other team members or friends who are working on Node.js, JavaScript and Java to develop inside Salesforce. Okay, so that is opening up new capabilities onto the platform for those who are already developing into other languages. So that is part one. Part two is I will be able to leverage all those open source libraries which are being developed for Java developers and Node.js developers and can simply plug them into my code. Example, there are libraries available to convert a whole content into PDF just by single code statement. Similarly, there are libraries available which can do a very complex ML algorithm onto a data just by single line of code. You can import all of those libraries into your functions and you can use them with your Salesforce data as well. Right? So this opens a lot of new capabilities into your platform so that you can run and use those common libraries. Okay. So that was about how to use function. What is function at all and how it looks like. Now let's go one step deeper and try to understand how it fits into the whole Salesforce architecture. Okay. So at one end you are seeing the Salesforce platform. Okay. And at the other end there is function and some of the third-party libraries and systems available. Okay. So Salesforce can work, or Salesforce function can work in both ways, that is synchronously and asynchronously as well. When I say synchronously, it will be happening within your context itself, you will be getting the response at the same time. Or when you are saying asynchronously, you will be giving a callback method and that callback method will be called later once the response will be get from the function side. Now, as you see, and that's the a beauty of function is understanding and doing function is very same like how you are seeing into this architecture diagram. You don't need to worry about anything behind the scenes. You'll be able to make calls from your Apex code to functions. You'll be able to invoke them. Your code will be written into the functions into Node.js or Java. Right now, Python will be supported later. In that code, you can make call to your Salesforce data easily. Let's say, let's take a very simple example. I want to do a very complex calculation on my account records. Maybe there are millions of records available into my org. Or in fact, let's take another example. At the same time, I want to do the deduplication as well. Okay. Now I have millions of records available into my org. It will be very tough to doing this within Apex itself. I'm facing issues like CPU size issues, heap limit issues, and whatsoever. Right. All the memory issues are coming into my Apex, and it is throwing all the corner limit challenges. Okay. With the help of function, I can import a Node.js library which can use something like an ML algorithm, which will find the duplicates of all the accounts based on the parameters I will provide. And based on that fuzzy logic which I wrote into my ML algorithm, it will find out that these are the duplicate records and give me an alert accordingly. At the same time, when I want to do parallelly some complex calculations, again I can write that there. It will churn all of the data, give me a summary, and I can store it back into Salesforce. While running this function, I can even make queries to Salesforce as well. I can make an SQL call, I can even perform a DML from there, and everything will be available. Now I can do this into two ways. I can run it in synchronous form as well as asynchronous form. In fact, not only this, let's say you're building this same application where your customer also have a third-party system. Maybe it is running on SAP, running on AWS data service, whatsoever. In your function, you will be able to make the API calls as well. It will not come under the call-out limits which comes under your Apex. Okay, so you can wait for a longer time, you can process a large amount of data there, and all the major challenges around the CPU and heap size which comes into your Apex will be overruled by doing this on functions. Okay, now all those high volume type of applications or high complexity type of processes can be done very easily. Okay. And it is very tightly integrated with Lightning platform, which means you can invoke them very easily from flows, from Apex, And if you can invoke your own flows, you can definitely invoking from a lot of different classes as well. Okay. Function is right from the very beginning. We kept that in mind that it should be friendly for the admin audience as well, so that they can invoke it whenever they want it, and that's how you can easily invoke a function via flows, a lightning flow. I will quickly explain this invocation patterns, and you all will be getting this slide deck. You don't need to take any screenshots. I will be sharing this slide deck towards the end of the session, so you can download it and can refer it for your own purpose. But there are 4 different patterns which are available to invoke a function. Okay, there is one where you can make a synchronous call from your Apex, just like you can see here in the screenshot at the first corner. That is, as my Apex class, I raise a request to a function runtime. That process got executed. I get a response and get my payload in response to it. In that function, I am also having an SDK available which can query all of the things from my Salesforce directory. Now the same thing can work asynchronously as well, which means I will send the request, I will get a response immediately, but I will not wait for the process to complete it on the function side. Okay, but what I will do to get the data back, I will also pass a callback method to it, so that whenever that function process will gonna execute it or the execution will complete, it will give me a data back and I will be able to use it to my Salesforce already. Okay. Same Apex class can be called via my flows as well. I just need to do make it invocable. Anybody know how to make? I hope you all must be aware that if you want to make any of your Apex method invocable, you just need to mark that with the invocable tag, and then you'll be able to call it from your functions as well. You can pass the parameters and it will invoke and it will run the process behind the scene. Okay. Same can be done via your LWC components as well. So you can attach that particular Apex class within a controller of your LWC, and then that controller can also call that Apex class, and that Apex class can call the functions. Okay. So these are the different ways in which you can invoke functions, and functions can be accessed from your Salesforce data. Any questions, anyone? Yes? Can we give mic?
So here actually we are communicating from our different Apex classes with the runtime, right? So there, are we using any API, REST API, such type of thing to do the synchronous or asynchronous call out?
No. Like I said, right, that's the beauty that as soon as the function is invoked, it is getting the context out of the box into that environment. Okay, it is running under the trusted boundaries, it is getting the context, and we'll show in the example like how you'll be able to query data from your function itself from Salesforce. Yeah, so no API calls are being made. Yes.
So for invocation, both synchronous and asynchronous.
Yes.
But for the callback, you have mentioned only asynchronous.
Yeah, so basically callback will only be needing when you are doing an asynchronous call. See,
Correct.
in a synchronous call, you will get a response into the response itself.
Yeah.
Right? But when you are making an asynchronous call, you will just ask the function to do something. It will run it on its own, it will back it. But once it will complete that process, it will invoke that callback method, so you will get a response back into that callback method into Salesforce. Okay. Okay? Yeah.
I just want to clarify the difference between right now when we make a call out versus this function as a service. I'm getting very confused in terms of understanding how it is different than how when we call a external service from Salesforce.
Okay. Can you give an example of any external service?
Let's say a URL hosted on Heroku, it's a public URL, and we make a call out.
Okay.
And the response of it when we pass it in the Salesforce.
Yes.
Here also it is seeming similar, like we are calling a function and then taking the response and passing it.
Right.
So how, like,
Okay. Okay.
I
See, like you mentioned, right, when you're making call to an external service, you need to write a logic into your external service to process that data which you're sending and give you back the results. Right now, if you want to write it somewhere outside Salesforce, okay, which means be it on AWS, even be it on Heroku as well, you need to make API calls to Salesforce to get the data. You have to do the authentication first, you need to do OAuth authentication, and then once you get the session token, then you'll invoke another API call, and then you'll get the data, you'll process it, and everything will be done, right? This function is running within the Salesforce trusted boundary itself, and you're getting out of the box context variable available, which can connect with your org directly, right? So that's the major difference. And the difference here is, like, although yes, you'll be getting a platform integration available, platform integration user available into your org, on behalf of which this whole process will be running, but it will be getting access to all the things which this user has access to. Okay, now see, yes, people were doing this even before function as well. Now the advantage function is bringing in that you are running this within a trusted layer. Okay, then you don't have to worry about the security part and everything else. Rest all will be taken care by the Salesforce itself. You just need to worry about the business logic. And now, whenever an external service is involved, see, you need to have another contract with them, and you need to have someone else who should be managing that system and everything. This all functions can be easily deployed from your same VS Code metadata system, rather than running it somewhere else, managing it somewhere else. It is part of your org metadata. Okay, the functions are a part of your org metadata. It will be deployed and managed with the same SFDX approach like you were taking for your Apex class, Visual Force classes and everything. Right? So basically we have provided you an elastic compute within Salesforce which can be run with the help of Python and Java and all.
So like Heroku had its own infrastructure as a service.
Yes.
Is this still also involved?
So Heroku is a platform as a service, and you're right. So, but see, the difference between a PaaS and FaaS is a PaaS need to be always available. But a FaaS, that is function, runs on demand and it's very elastic in nature. Okay? And secondly, even when you use Heroku, you need to use things like Heroku Connect so that it can bilaterally copy data from Salesforce to Postgres, and then you can process the data, even update it, and do the bidirectional update both the side. But in case of this, you don't need to have another data service available to manage that data expediently. Although yes, you can plug in Heroku data service here as well, but you don't need all this. Okay, you get automatically by default that access to that. Now, very simple example like I explained, right? When I want to process a lot of account records, and there even contexts are also involved. In case of Heroku, I need to do the bidirectional sync with account and context both. Here I don't need to manage this multiple record syncing. I just gonna be querying the record which I needed until I will work on it. And the difference, like I said, functions are always on demand. You calls it do it, the process, it execute the process, give the response and get shut down. In the case of Heroku as a PaaS, it is always available and is more better for applications like mobile backend as a service, a web app which is running throughout all the time, and so on. Yeah. In fact, we are leveraging a lot of things of Heroku into functions, but we have made it more robust and better for a FaaS layer of Salesforce. Okay, let's move forward. I'll quickly talk about a few things.
One question.
Yes.
Can I use the developer?
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can request for a trial org which is available, and I will share the link towards the end. Unfortunately, it's not available as part of the developer org right now. Okay, you need a separate type of org, but we are sharing trial orgs with the developers and the partners, both of them, and I will talk about it towards the end. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Great question, by the way. Yeah. So, okay, let's understand the anatomy of function and what is being available into it. We're talking about this. I mean, this is the same code, but in this, you are getting three variables available. That is event, context, and logger. Event is the one which is getting invoked and having all the things available. Event is the one which get all the details like who has called this function, who has invoked it, what is the payload I am getting from it into this function as a request data and everything. The context is the one, like I said, which allow access to your authenticated org. Okay. Currently, this is a uni-org driven development and solution which you are providing. But in future, we are also looking for a multi-org based solution available on function, so that you can connect with multiple orgs together within your function and can run these processes. Okay. So the context has everything available as part of your Salesforce SDK, and as well as authenticated access to your Salesforce org. Okay. Lastly is the logger, which will help you to generate and manage all the logs. Okay. The same goes for a Java class as well. It has by default 2 parameters, and we are using logger here, which is a standard part of SL4 or basically log4j package itself. Okay, the method is very same, where you have apply and then you have an invocation event type of object of event, and the context also has all the access and authentication with the Salesforce. How many of you have worked on Java? Very few, and again JavaScript. Right, so again, you can leverage either Node.js or Java, any of these two platforms to develop and design your functions. Okay. Okay, and how once I create a function, I will be able to invoke it. This is a sample code for it, where what I will do, I will firstly create a function object by making function.get call, and I will provide my function name into that particular method. Okay, and then I will make a call saying invocation equals to function.invoke. Now, if I want to send any data to my function, I will pass that as a part of payload, and then I will get an invocation object in response. Okay, and then I can call invocation.getResponse, or if I'm passing a callback as a asynchronous, I can use that response method there itself. Okay, so this is how you will be able to invoke those functions from your Apex code. Okay. Now I talked about a lot of things in context. So see the advantage, and like you mentioned, what is the better we are getting as compared to running it on function as compared to other platforms. See, it gets the Salesforce SDK inbuilt into it, which is a lot of things like context. You have data API, you have org access, so you can easily access all the details about the org, like what is the org ID, what is the user ID, and everything that is also be available. You will also introduce a new thing into this, which is a new programming paradigm or pattern. This called as unit of work. That is very extensively used outside Salesforce for when you are managing and having detection multiple database applications, or to manage the order of your database executions, so that they should be stored in a proper order and can be executed properly in a transitional basis. We're using unit of work of pattern there. I will show that as an example on the next screen. In fact, let's go dive. This is what a unit of work looks like. Okay, this is available out of the box as part of the context and SDK itself. So see, whenever I want to do a series of executions onto my Salesforce object, into my Node.js or Java both, I will create a unit of work type of object or variable, and then whenever I am doing any TML or basically any transactional database operations, I will use uow.register_new and then provide my details in there. So in this example, you can see I am creating a list of orders into my for loop. I'm not doing TML there. I just keep on adding them into my uow.register_new, and then towards the end, at the very last, I will do the commit. So here I have done the register new for all the order objects, and finally outside my for loop, I have done the commit. So that same way you can use and create multiple objects, not required to be of same as object. You can even create for different type of sets objects as well. And once you want to do the commit, see behind the scenes it will use the composite API to publish that data back to Salesforce. So it will make it much more robust and also very scalable as well. Alright? So that is a unit of work pattern. Now quickly understand another quick example how to make call to your asynchronous type of function. So see what you are seeing here is
Dinesh,
yeah.
bit of zoom.
Yes, I will see if there's a way to do this. No, I will try to. Let's do this. Okay. So I hope now you should be able to see the screen. Let me hide this. Okay. So see,
You can go presenter mode.
sorry.
You can go into presenter mode.
Yeah, that's a show. That's a slideshow.
Okay, cool. No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah. Okay. So see, this is how you will be invoking your function, like I showed you in the example. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back and try it a simple way. I will. No, I'll just explain.
Yeah, I think that should be okay.
Okay, I'll share the slide deck with all of you. Just listen to me, and then you will be getting the slide deck. You can play with that later. But in this line of code, what I'm doing is I'm making a call .invoke, and then I'm passing my payload into a JSON type of object with providing my account details like account name. But at the same time, I'm also passing the callback method here. Okay, so the second part you just see is a callback option. So I provided a callback method, but for that callback, I created a new Apex class, which is extending an interface which is called as function callback. Okay, you need to do that. The code is there. You can copy paste and use it. But in that callback method, you will have another method called as handle response. Okay, and then finally, if you come to your function, which is on this side, see. Once you want to complete and do everything, as soon as you return the result, it will be available back into your callback method there, and from there you'll be able to access all the response data. Okay? So that is how you can do the asynchronous call as well. I will show the demo, in that I will zoom in the code and will show you how I'm doing a database operation. Okay? Now, before going through demo, let's quickly understand where all you all will be able to use functions. Okay? So with this, for this, definitely what we are bringing in different, and definitely this answer to the open questions which you have in your mind is we are providing something which can do a lot of elasticity scale type of operation within Salesforce platform or staying within the platform. You don't need to buy a subscription with a third-party system or manage another subscription with AWS or Google to do such type of operations. Okay, and thirdly, like I said, this will really help to expand our talent pool and to leverage the capabilities which are available for the open source developers. Okay. Now I can use it for various type of usage, like wherever I want to push my org limits, I can go and offload those type of heavy compute processes to the functions, and that's where we're gonna run. Similarly, when I want to speed up my deliverables by using the open source capabilities, that's where also it's gonna be used. And also when I want to optimize my usage of the platform. See, I don't want to spend a lot on getting errors with the heap size issues and everything within the platform itself. Rather than that, I will offload it to something where it can easily execute smoothly. And here are some of the examples of doing that. Okay, so some of the key use cases where we are seeing our customers actively using functions is like wherever you are facing CPU and heap limit issues. Okay, wherever you are facing issues with PDF and image processing data. Okay, you can't do any image processing within Apex itself. You're always gonna face heap size errors. You're gonna face CPU memory issues and all. Right? With this, you can easily do that. Similarly, whenever you have your own custom algorithm being written to do a roll-up or to do a complex calculation on a lot of parameters of an object, or even multiple objects, again, function is a great use case for that. Okay, here are some of the examples where a customer are using it. If we talk about complex business calculation, like things like loan processing, product keys, contract billing, demand forecasting, that's where it is actually being used. Similarly, when you talk about batch processing, like whenever you want to do the daily inventory stocking, where you have third party involved, like your OMS, your SAP systems and everything, that's where function can be used. It can consume a lot of data from the ERPs, can do the calculation there, and can finally go and update back into the Salesforce platform. Okay. And lastly, whenever you want to do anything around documents or images, that is not possible within Apex, but with functions it will become very easy. Like you can use any Node.js library and can generate a very beautiful PDF of your data, or can parse an image, get image classification of that, and can get the result back into the system. Okay. All sentiment analysis, image classifications. If you don't want to use Einstein, definitely this can be used, and you can use the public libraries available. Okay, so these are all the use cases. Lastly, before moving forward, any questions on the use cases part? Any questions, anyone? Okay, so now I explained a lot about function, but definitely the next question which will come in your mind is like when I should use it, when I should not use it. So what I done, I created this very simple flow chart to help you understand, or a decision tree I would say, which will help you to decide whether I want to use function into my project or not. Okay. What you'll check if your platform need more compute power or you want to leverage common platform languages like Node.js and Java. If the answer is no, you'll try to optimize your code and you do that within the Apex limits itself. Okay? But if you are pushing limits of your Apex and you really want to go outside system and you need to run the logic outside the transaction as well, then definitely the function is the answer for it. Okay? So just use this as an example, and then definitely this will help you a lot to decide whether you should write your code into Apex, into function, or some other place. Alright? Okay. Let me show a quick demo to all of you. And just to keep it simple, what I did, I actually used the recipes itself and already have deployed into my org. I will share the link with you, like how you can also do it. So let's go back into the org here. I hope I already logged in. Yes. So this is one of my demo org, and it's a trial org which I'm using, and I'll show you like how you all can also create it. You need to request it, you will get a response within 7 days or so by the team, and then you'll be able to leverage it. I already installed this function recipes package into it. Okay. Let me increase the size. Okay. Okay. Just a minute. Let me close this one first. Is this visible? Till back?
Yep.
Oh, great. So see, as soon as you're going to install function recipes, on the home page you will have all the details available. Like, how to configure these demos, how you can start with the developer guide and everything. In fact, this all code is available open source on the trainer app / function recipes, and the link is available to my slide deck. You can download it from there. Now let's see one very simple example where what I will do, I will create one account directly from my function. Okay. So what I will do, I will click on this run function. It will ask some details. In fact, before this, let me go and show you the accounts. Okay. So I will jump to my account tab from here. Okay. So you can see there is, go to all accounts. You can see there is only one account available here. Okay, into my app. It is a blank new app. I just used it. I just created it yesterday only. But now what I will do, I will create a new account. So for this, I will click on this particular example. I will click on run function, and it says I need to provide details about my account. So I will give it name as maybe I'll just say SFTG Bangalore. Okay, I will give the name 007. I will give the industry as tech and type as customer maybe. Okay, and I will also provide the name as www.sftgpl.com. Okay, done. And I will invoke this from here. Now you see, as soon as the function is getting invoked, I get the response with that account ID into the response. That is the account ID I got as a response, and it has all the other fields as well. It can show my owner ID and other details as well. Now let's go back and check this into my account object as well. Okay. So let's say if I do click on all accounts again, you see that new account has got created, and it has the same details which I provided. That is SFTG Bangalore, website is this, and so and so. Now see, my logged in user is Durkesh2. Okay, and this is the username. But when you see the owner of this is platform integration user. So like I said, currently function works with an integration user, and the name of that user is platform integration user. In the near future, we're going to be coming up with a user mode as well, so that it will be invoked in the context of the current user itself. But when you would be currently running function, make sure that whatever DML operations, whatever data operations you want to do, this particular user should have access to all of that data. Okay, I mean, you just need to go to the profile or assign a permission set, which should have access to all of that as objects and all. Okay, now how we did it? Let me show you into the code example. Okay, Is the code visible till back or should I zoom in?
A bit?
Okay.
Yes, no, that's fine.
Alright. In fact, you know what? Let me just click on view source. Okay, and then I will open this index.js and I will zoom this up. Okay, so this will be better. This is the same code which I was showing on that screen, which we just invoked. So what we did, at the start of this, I mentioned, right, we get things like event, context, and logger. Okay, and from here, we converted the data to the payload which we passed. Remember, we passed the name, the account number, and everything into the LWC component that was being collected here. I extract that into the payload. Now, I created this new JavaScript object providing the type and also the field details. So now I provided the name, account number, and everything based on the data which I collected. Just to make a demo ready, I added the date as well as a suffix, so that whenever I'm using even the same account, it should give a different name to that account. Okay. Now finally, what I did, I created that with the data API. Here I haven't used unit of work, just to explain it as a simple form with the data API example. So I use the data API and I use the create command, create method of that, and just passes that as object into this. Okay, and finally, once the record is got created, I got the response back with the record ID available into this, and then I run a SOQL into my app, okay, which says select all the fields standard from my account where ID is equals to the record ID which is received. Okay, and then finally I return this query back to my system as a response, which I got back into my Salesforce app. Okay, so this is how the functions got involved. And in fact, similarly, you can also do things like getting the org info. Okay, you can query it. There is an org info object available, which can give you details like API version, base URL, domain URL, org ID, the user details, and everything. And there are many more examples which are available here. Like you can process a large volume data, like GBs of data can be very easily accessed, and you can pass some lat long and it will find you the nearest school or college from that particular lat long which you have provided. Okay, you can play with this example once you get access to the demo. Okay. So this was a quick demo which I presented just to keep it simple to all of you. Don't want to confuse it a lot. But all of these things which I just demonstrated is already available as part of the function recipes. So you can also install it to your own org, or you can just go to GitHub repository and you can explore the code without even playing it right now. One last thing I want to share, anybody who don't even have access to the org can also run functions locally without having access to the function enabled org. And deploying and running locally any of the function is very easy. You just need VS Code. You need to install the SMDX plugin, update the plugin, and you'll be able to get all things. Developer guide has all the details about it. So do take a look, and that will be really helpful.